Hey everybody, how's it going? Fisher Hunter here. Today we're doing a chironomid lesson. I don't have any names for any of these patterns. They're just things I see other guys tying, or when we're pumping stomachs, some patterns that kind of look similar to what we see in the actual chironomid pupas themselves. So on this one today, we're going to be using some red thread, some black thread, ASB for the body, and a red tinsel for the rib. And let's get started. Using a 14 size scud hook. 14 is my favorite size to fish with and also to tie with a 3/32 white bead. And because the bead is white, we're going to go ahead and skip the gills. You won't see a whole lot of guys tying gills when they have a white bead. A bit of a duplication of effort. But anywho, we'll start. We'll get our line tied on here. This is a 8/0 thread. Cut our tag line off. And now the first thing I like to do when I'm wrapping and not tying any gills here is I like to secure the head down a little bit. You can see it kind of wobbling around there. I don't know why, it always pisses me off a little bit. So we'll give her a bunch of wraps and get her locked down. So it's just about stopped spinning. I say that's pretty good. Won't move nowhere. Get the body going. First thing we're going to tie on here is our red tinsel. All right, we'll wrap that down. And the next thing we're going to be tying on is our ASB, or anti-static bag. Now this stuff is kind of a transparent material. They're basically bags that computer parts come in. You can see kind of reflective, kind of see-through. You can pick them up for cheap on Amazon, eBay, whatever. I actually went down to the local computer shop and asked them if they had ever had anybody come and ask about them for fly tying, and the guy had no clue what I was talking about, but still he was nice enough to give me a whole whack from a lifetime supply, so that was a bit of a victory. And I just cut them into strips. Now, as you can tell, these strips are not uniform at all. I just cut them best I could with a pair of scissors. It doesn't matter a whole lot as long as it goes on here clean. So we'll go behind, oops, there we go. We'll go behind the head there and we'll start tying it down, and we'll keep it nice and thin, and we'll go to about a 45-degree angle. I think I'll go another couple wraps here. 45-degree angle to the tip of the hook, and we'll start going up here and we'll start building up our body. Now I'm going to tie a black thorax on this. So I want to get my taper fairly close. I'll leave a little bit of room for when I tie my black thread on. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, now I can still tie some black on after that. So I'll give this a little whip here. Lock it in. Snip it off. And now, because when I started, which wasn't that long ago, I just bought a little kit with one bobbin, I have to change spools whenever I want to tie on a different thread, and it's kind of a pain. I can definitely see why guys are buying a whack of bobbins and having them all pre-threaded. But nonetheless, there we go, color change to black. Get her tied on. Get rid of our tag. Okay. Now, because the anti-static bag is kind of see-through, I want to blend these colors a little bit. I like the red in the back. I also want some in the front. So I'm just going to go very sparsely down halfway, and then just up a little bit, so you can see there's big holes there, and it looks like it's going to blend pretty nice. So I might go a couple more wraps up here, but that's very good. I'm happy with that. So now I'll give it a whip here. And again, this is just to lock the thread. I can pull it out and do whatever, and it's not going to untie or go anywhere. So I'm going to grab my anti-static bag, get it untangled from my tinsel. I'm going to start doing nice tight wraps, trying to get it to sit flat. But if there's a little edge to it, I'm not too worried. When I take a close look at actual chironomid pupa, their segments are a bit square. They're not totally rounded like we're used to tying them. So if they stick up a little bit, I don't find that's too big of a deal. I kind of think it helps give them a little bit of realism. Okay, so we're good there. Now we're going to lock it on. 1, 2, 1, 2. I tied 2 wraps of the bobbin behind the material and 2 wraps in front just to secure it down. Now I'm going to go for another whip finish. Again, just so I can pull this material out of the way while I get my rib going here. 6 to 8 ribs is generally what you want to do. Space them maybe a little bit farther out as you get closer to the head. Okay, so like I said before, I'm keeping the tinsel taut. Go 1, 2, and 2 in front. I like to use tinsel as opposed to wire. I think it gives it a bit more flash. Maybe it doesn't give it as much depth as the wire does, but it definitely gives it some more shine, and I think that looks pretty good. So now we're at the stage here where we're going to tie our thorax up here. So that's about good. And we want to taper the thorax again. Slender where it comes off the body, thicker where it meets the bead. Finish it off. I always give 5 whips on the finish. All right, and that looks great. Very happy with that. Gonna grab my Sally Hansen here. Wipe off the excess off the brush. Start dabbing her on. Sally Hansen's great for protecting it. Make it last a little bit longer. As I always tell guys, if it's not perfect, don't sweat it. By the time a bunch of fish have bitten onto this thing, it's going to look pretty beat up, and it's still going to catch fish. So strive for perfection, but if it doesn't turn out that way, as long as it looks good, then I'd be happy. We're going to take a little bit of our extra material here, and we're going to wipe away some excess. You can use a toothpick or a shish kebab stick or whatever. Just something to clean it up. So that's looking pretty good. I'll probably let this set, maybe have a snack, and then I'll go give it another coat. But that's it. That's one good looking chironomid there. Don't know if you guys can see it, but when the light hits it a certain way, I can see that red underneath the ASB. It's got some shine to it. I can see the black near the front. No gills. This is a pretty easy fly to tie. Anybody could do it, and you know, when you're pumping stomachs, chances are you're going to see some chironomids similar to this. This is a very common pattern, so give it a try, and good luck out on the water, guys. Tight lines.